So the last presentation today, and then we can all chat and mingle a bit, is to answer a question that I've been asked numerous times. So at the Grand Labs, I've been in charge of building the engineering team, meaning that I had to do a lot of recruiting. And one of the things that often comes up is, how do you recruit developers? In particular, how did you recruit a Go team? Say pretty comfortably that our backend team, which are Go developers, are very productive. We execute pretty well, and we were able to deploy our production quality backend. And so one of the key things about recruiting is how exactly do you build a team that does exactly that, which is produce something on time, on budget, and something that actually works. So what I'm going to discuss is some of the things that I look at, some of the things that I do during recruitment, and this is open for discussion and debate. This is just my opinion on how I built the engineering team. So I'm going to go through this, and feel free to shout out any disagreements that you may have. Okay, number one, if you come to me and you say you are a Go developer applying for our team, and I find that you've never read the Golang spec, you probably will not get hired. One of the things about the Go community is that the large percentage of the people who learn Go, after a few months, actually read the spec, which is a great thing. Which is good because I was a Java developer for a while, and people can go through learning Java for 10 years and never have read the spec, which is kind of weird to me. That's open for debate. Second, I like to do the headache test, which is I invite a potential employee, ask them to go to a cafe or meet, and if I chat with him for about an hour and I don't get a headache, it's probably a good thing. That's called the headache test. You would be surprised how many headaches I got. And I finally found a few people that didn't give me a headache, and that's actually a pretty good test. If you can talk with me for an hour and keep me interested, that's pretty good. That definitely is open for debate. The next thing is, I try to figure out what they think about their abilities as a developer. And I noticed this. After years of being in the development industry, in the software industry, people who are good at what they do know that they are good at what they do and that they are better than their peers. They know that because they live it. So, and I don't go straight up saying, hey, are you the best in your company? I don't go up straight up saying that. But if I get a sense that the person across from me is saying to me, I am naturally able to separate myself from my peers because of my natural talents, that's a big deal to me. That's a really big deal to me because I cannot teach talent. I can give you experience, I can give you lessons, I can even help you with your work environment. I could do those three things as head of engineering, but I cannot give you your talent. So I definitely recruit for talent. Next. I need to know that you're excited about something. It doesn't need to be Go, but something probably in the technology field, but just something that you are able to describe for me in simple terms, and right away I know you're very passionate about it, and that you spend hours and hours and hours getting better at that craft. Because I think that people who are able to do that is able to transfer that in their workplace. Now, you might think that, so when I explain this to people, one of the questions that get asked to me is, but doesn't that eliminate 99% of the candidates that come to you? The answer is yes. So what I found, the trick is, there's really no trick in recruiting, and that is a massive amount of effort, a massive amount of people that you meet, and someone who gets through that filter is well worth the work and the wait. Because if you get someone who does not pass that filter, you're going to pay for it later on in other ways. Okay. I do have another last one. I do like, because we're in Golang, I do like people who participate in open source, in the open source community. Even if it means them having a GitHub page with a bunch of repositories that nobody contributes to. But he's somehow, or she's somehow, very passionate about taking their code out there, participating in other repositories, and contributing to those. Because there is a mentality there that by giving your time to the community, there is a way for you getting back. So you give, when you give, you receive. I truly believe in that. So these qualities I look for in a development team, in a person. And here's the last thing that I do in building up a team, which I'm fairly confident saying that we're a very good team. And that is, if you're a hiring manager, and if you are a direct supervisor to that team, I suggest that you build a team around your personality. Here's why. Because if you have a clear vision of what your team looks like, and you have to do that first, you have to have a vision of what your team looks like. If you have a clear vision of what your team looks like, and you have a clear vision on how they will interact with each other and with you, then your recruiting efforts becomes a lot easier because your filter system is a lot simpler. So it's very, very easy for me to gauge a person across from me and say, do I personally want to work with this person 5 days out of the week, 8 hours a day? Versus the question, will this person fit every other person in my team? That's a hard question. In fact, I don't think it's a question that, I think it's a question that's secondary to the first question, which is, will this person fit me as a supervisor? Because ultimately, you as the supervisor is accountable to the productivity of your team. And if you're not able to get along with that person, then obviously your productivity is hampered. So that's how I recruit. I know some people got offended by that. The last time I spoke with, I'll tell you the story. I went to a JavaScript meetup, and I was introduced to the group, and they pretty much said, so how did you hire your team? And so I made a mistake of forgetting that I was actually at a JavaScript meetup. And so I said, well, if your main language is X, and if you've never read the language spec for language X, I probably will not hire you. That didn't sit well with the JavaScript community, because I bet you the vast majority of them did not read the language spec, or even the Safari spec, which is a lot easier to read. All right, so that's how I build a team. Any questions, comments? So silence means that you guys don't agree, or don't.
I take exception to the talent, because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're editing text. I don't think it takes any kind of special talent. What I really think it takes is it takes curiosity and passion, right? I mean, if I present what we do every day to most people, it's probably mind-numbingly boring, right? When I talk to my non-technical friends and I tell them what I'm doing, their eyes are glazing over and they want to shoot me.
Right.
But there's for people that don't glaze over and they're like, oh wow, that is exciting. You've got an innate curiosity to learn more about something and find and dig deep. That's why when I'm building a team, that's what I look for. I want the guy that's going to be, one, very curious, and I want somebody that's going to be, meticulous and, take pride in what they're doing. They're not going to be sloppy. I don't really care how fast you do something. I care how well you do something. That's what I look for. I mentor guys on lots of teams, and usually the guys that I don't want to spend any time on are the guys or girls that are just sloppy and quick and fast and want to get shit done. But the person that comes up to me and says, hey, how does this work? I'll spend a lot of time with that person because they've got a curiosity. That's what's important to me. That's what's going to be a good person down the road. They enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it and you're not interested in what you're doing, You're going to just like clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out. That's not going to work.
That's a good point. Especially, so we're a startup, especially in a startup environment, the people on your team needs to really love what they do. Or else, you know how startups go, and it'll burn you out if you don't love what you're doing. Thank you for that input. Anybody else? Yes?
Question. Your last point about building a team around your personality, I thought was really interesting. And probably courageous to even say something like that too. But like, if you build a team around your personality and then that person A and person B that was within your team, don't get along, have you ever had any experience where you had some serious problems with that, trying to manage, where you might have a good relationship individually, but between them you have conflicts and you have to manage that? Have you ever had experience like that?
I've had that experience in multiple companies. So I'll tell you what one of my favorite managers told me, because I wasn't getting along with one of my peers, and he was my manager. He came up to me and said, Rex, I don't care if you hate each other, I just want both of you to produce. Now, it is true that if they match my personality, they don't exactly match their personality to each other. I think that one of the jobs of a project manager and a team lead is ultimately to get the most production out of their team. Now, if they hate each other, but they produce a ton of stuff that's really good, I'm going to do my best to keep them there together.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great point, because people talk about, hey, but doesn't all the team members need to like really like each other? I mean, look at the Lakers. Back when Kobe and Shaq were on there, I don't think they liked each other, but they won championships. So I want the championship, not necessarily a way for them to get along with each other. It is true that if people have conflict, that you had to spend the extra time as a supervisor quelling that internal struggle, but that's your role as a supervisor. That's a great question. Anybody else? Thanks. All right, so that was the end of our presentation today, just some admin stuff. The next meetup, we will go to our usual format, which is presentation, then review my code. That's the part where you like roast the person in front of you. Anonymously. So please, if you would like to participate, submit your code. We're willing to do that, present it for you, or you could present it yourself. For those who are new here, review my code is when somebody comes up here and they put up a piece of code on the board and we code review it together. What ends up happening is that there's a lot of interaction that happens, and we all find each other's interesting take on how to improve code. And we are always looking for speakers. If you would like to speak with us, for us, contact Meredith over there, or simply write a message in our meetup. So for the rest of the time, please enjoy the new setup that we have here, and enjoy the drinks, and thank you for coming.